Booktube, we are back. Let's go through all the book series that I'm in the middle of and if you should add it to your TBR. Before we get into the books, I am a serial habitual series starter. Like, I love me some series. I prefer a series of books over a standalone. And this has came from since I was a kid. When it comes to books and series like Harry Potter and Chronicles of Narnia, those were my jam. And it transferred over into adulthood. But somehow, some way, I have found myself within multiple series right now. And by multiple, I mean I'm in the middle of 15 series right now. Whether it's I only read book one, have a few more books to go, or I'm all the way on book 3 or 4 and I'm waiting for more books to come out. I'm in the middle of a lot of series here, but I love series, and it really defines me as a person because I love to, travel along through multiple books with specific characters, specific plots, specific settings, and it's just my jam. But I can't commit to all of these series here. So we're gonna do this exercise together. I'm gonna go through all 15 series here, and with a yes, maybe, or no in terms of continuing, and if they should be on your TBR list or not. Are you in the middle of some series right now? If you are, let me know what series are you in the middle of and which ones you're prioritizing to finish. But without further ado, let's dive into the 15 series, and I'm sure I'm missing some that I'm in the middle of right now. Let's dive into it. So, a disclaimer here is that these books are not going to be in any particular order. These series are not going to be in any particular order. I just chose them at random on a random list. But let's start with a series that I've kind of just got into, and that is the Sun Eater series. The Sun Eater series is absolutely insane. Right now, there are 6 books out. I've read up to book 4, so that means I have book 5 and book 6 left. The books that I read in this series were Empire of Silence, Howling Dark, Demon in White, and Kingdoms of Death. Now I have Ashes of Man and Disquiet Gods. This series is absolutely incredible, and yes, it should be on your TBR list. This is a space opera, high space opera, I would say, high sci-fi, I would say. And you follow along a main character as throughout all books, he traverses the universe to find out, what his life purpose is or what his purpose is from that perspective. This series is absolutely incredible. I know it's all over BookTube, it's getting all over Book Talk, and Christopher Rocchio's writing is absolutely insane in this. And it's a series that I think everybody should put on their list. Now, the first book for some is pretty slow, which again, I want to acknowledge that too as well. The first book wasn't my favorite, but I thought it got the job done. In hindsight, looking back to the first book from the second, third, fourth book, the first book is absolutely incredible in its own right. But you have to get through the first book to get to the rest of the books. And just the writing in this book is absolutely insane. The high epic battle scenes, some of the best battle scenes you'll ever come across in any type of space opera or sci-fi, I would say. Absolutely incredible. So Sun Eater, yes, definitely yes, I'm continuing. I have to get to 5 and 6 soon because who knows when 7's coming out and who knows what Christopher Rocchio has coming up. So yes, first one right off the bat should be in TBR. The next series that we're going to go over to is a resounding yes before I even get into it because I love this first book so much. The Broken Earth Trilogy, the 5th season is the first book in this trilogy. Obelisk Gate and Stone Sky are the next books in the series, and the writing N.K. Jemisin puts in this book. I don't know what she puts in these books, but they are so addicting. And from the first book, I really wanted to jump into second and third book immediately. I just had so many books on my TBR list. I'm literally kicking myself for not continuing this series when I had the chance to continue this series. But trust me, this is at the top of my list to kind of get back into. This is a book or a series that follows a character in a post-apocalyptic world where there's 5 seasons, right? So we have our normal 4th season, but the 5th season is always a climatic thing that happens where everything goes wrong and the entire world is on the brink of extinction. And you follow this character along who has some very interesting powers as this person tries to navigate that, also some family issues. And this book is just chef's kiss, and I can't wait to jump into the next few books of this series. I do it to myself. I like to hop and bounce around between series. I can't really read more than one book at a time, but somehow I can read more than a couple of series at a time. I can bounce back around. So I'm really excited for this one. I'm definitely getting to the second book by the end of this year. Like, no questions asked. You guys can call me out on it if I don't. But yes, this series is a resounding yes, and you should definitely get into it. The only caveat I would say for this is that it's very unique writing. And if you're not down for the task or if you're in a reading slump, I wouldn't recommend this to start off in terms of getting out of your reading slump. But if you're in a rhythm, pick this up because this was a 5-star for me for sure. All right, this next one shouldn't come to as any surprise for everybody, for anybody. Stormlight. Stormlight is a series that I'm in the middle of because I have read up to book 4, and When in Truth comes out in December. This is the best fantasy series of all time, to me. To me. I know some of you probably won't agree, but to me, Stormlight is the best series of all time. It has some of the best character work of all time, has some of the best quotables of all time, the best world building of all time, some of the best magical systems of all time. I think there are some other magical systems that can compete with the magical system in Stormlight. However, this series is a 5-star series. Even one of my favorite books of all time, Words of Radiance. So there's 4 books that are out right now. 4 books in a novella. Let's do that. The first book is Way of Kings. The second book is Words of Radiance. There's a novella called Edge Dancer in between there. Then there's Oathbringer. There's a novella called Dawn Shard in between there. And there's Rhythm of War. And this is just a high epic fantasy that is hard to describe, but once you're in it, you are in it. And yes, this is a series I'm 100% going to continue. Looking forward to, I think it's December 5th, When in Truth to come out. And I know Brandon's going to deliver on this series. And yeah, this is a resounding yes. You should 100% be into Stormlight. It is a little bit longer than probably any other series you've read in terms of page length per book. I'm telling you, Journey Before Destination, you will enjoy it. And again, if you don't enjoy the first time, that's fine. Maybe you need to step away and come back, because I actually ended up DNFing Way of Kings the first time back in 2020. And this year, I got back on the train, and am I happy? Am I so happy to get back on the train? It takes a lot of patience, but it does pay off. Journey Before Destination, Stormlight should 100% be on your TBR list, and it's 1,000% a series that I'm going to continue. All right, next up, we're gonna sprinkle in some maybes and some no's in here. So let's do a maybe, and the series that I want to talk about now is the Locked Tomb series. The book that I read is Getting the Ninth. I really enjoyed Getting the Ninth. I think I gave it like a 4.2, 4.3 out of stars. I actually really enjoyed it. It's like necromancers in space. Really interesting concept, really interesting book. However, do I think I would continue the series? And this is a maybe leaning towards no. And it's nothing in terms of the actual series. I think the first book is strong. When it comes to the first book, though, it's a little confusing, more than 60 or 7% of the way. And I think would I want to sign myself up for that for book 2, and I think there's a book 3. I don't know yet, so I'm maybe leaning towards no, but I can be swayed, right? I can enter in a period where I just want to pick up a random series, and I think that would be it. As of right now, it's not the top of my priority list, but I really enjoyed Getting the Ninth. It's just a matter of there are so many other competing series out there. I don't know if this one is at the top, but the first book was fire, and maybe, but leaning towards no, just because there's so many other books that are out there, so many other series that are out there that I'm into. In terms of if it should be on your TBR list, I think there's a maybe just right in the middle, maybe, not leaning either way. If you're into some very super interesting writing, confusing writing that will have you thinking 99% of the time, this is for you. But if you're not ready for something like that, then maybe it's not for you. But yeah, I think it's a maybe leaning no in terms of continuing. And maybe we revisit this at a later date. All right, the next one is another recent series that I've been hopping into. And that's the Bloodsworn series, the Bloodsworn Saga by John Gwynne. The first book took me by storm. That first book was absolutely incredible. It wasn't a 5-star, but it was as close to 5-star as it could get. In this one, you follow 3 main characters in a world that is filled with so much. You have dragons, you have kidnapping of kids, you have some unique magic. Where I was hooked. I read this in my book club. We were hooked. We were so hooked that we put the second book into the book club again. So my book club, the Liddy with Smitty book club, the link should be in my bio. From that perspective there, I'll maybe even link it in this video. But we were so enthralled with the first book, we put the second book up for vote, and it was an immediate vote. And we've been doing this for a while with other series, and any other series, kind of had that, which is super exciting for this series. I'm really excited for Hunger of the Gods. It's going to be my next read after the read that I'm currently in right now. And I'm really excited for it. And this series is a great series. So I would say yes. Yes. Even though I've only read the first book, I'm going to say yes. Because my excitement, the other people's excitement is really palpable for this. And the third book comes out next month. Or if you're whatever you're watching, the third book comes out October 2024, I should say. just in case you watch this, later down the road. So October 2024, the third book comes out, which is going to be incredible. I already know. I haven't even read the second book, and I already know the third book is going to be incredible. This series is just came out of nowhere for me, and I really enjoyed the first book and the second book. I'll check back in one of these monthly recaps. So I'm going to say yes. Yes, you should, read this series, and yes, I'm going to continue it. All right, so the next series is a series that has been really popular on Book Talk and, sometimes popular on BookTube. And it's the Fourth Wing series, or I think it's the Empyrean series, what it's called. I actually really enjoyed the first book, Fourth Wing. I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star for me, maybe close to like 3.9 to 4 or whatever like that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it so much that I did pick up the second book, Iron Flame, in the series, and I did not enjoy that one. So, no, I will not be continuing the Fourth Wing series. I think when it comes to the actual characters in that story, because I'm a very character-driven, character-focused reader, there's just so many disconnects with the character Violet, and it just wasn't working out for me in the second book, to where I don't know if it could be rectified in the third book. So I wouldn't put it on my TBR list going forward in terms of the rest of the series. However, if you're interested in the dragons and the romance, it may be for you. Again, I really enjoyed the first book, and the second book missed the mark, but again, there was still some enjoyment in it. I just won't finish the series just because the second book really put me off from that perspective. And again, there's so many series in this world for me to just be jumping into one where I'm lukewarm about. So for me, I would not continue the series. And maybe for you, if you are interested in that, then you definitely should. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that one. All right, the next one is a epic series that most everybody's read. I've only read book 1. And that book is Game of Thrones. I've only read Game of Thrones in this series, A Song of Ice and Fire. Will I continue the series? Yes, 100%. I actually watched the TV show, obviously the entire season of the TV show, and I really enjoyed it. But with TV shows, I know to leave a lot of stuff out. And I need to double back and actually read the entire series. So Game of Thrones is what it is. It's a fight for the throne. And you have different families fighting for that throne. There's dragons involved. There's White Walkers involved. If you know, you know. And this series is absolutely amazing on TV, and I know the book's going to be incredible too as well. I want to start this, or restart this, I should say, at the end of the year, because if I do pick this book back up, or the series back up, I'm going to start from book 1. Like, I'm not going to just jump to the second book. I'm going to start from book 1 and try to get through the entire series from there. I know the writing is incredible. So this is a yes. For you, should you put it in TBR list? I would say maybe, because I know the writing in this one is not everyone's cup of tea. But I'm going to be yes. I'm yes going forward with this, because this series, the book is absolutely incredible. The first book is absolutely incredible. And the series on TV is absolutely incredible. And again, it's based off the book. So I'm going to have to check it out for myself, because books are always better than TV shows. So Song of Ice and Fire, yes, for sure. All right, so the next one for me is going to be a maybe, but the first book was absolutely incredible. And let me explain why it's a maybe. So Vicious. Vicious is a V.E. Schwab book. The second book is called Vengeful. I really enjoyed Vicious. This is a story of two once, friends, like best friends, turned rivals. And as they navigate a world where the way they came about their supernatural abilities is absolutely wild. Check your trigger warnings of it. I'm not going to go too far into it, but it's absolutely wild. And these friends turn to absolutely hatred rivals. It's just a story that's just is absolutely incredible, absolutely insane. And I really enjoyed Vicious. I think I gave Vicious a 4.5 out of 5. It was such a fun, great, quick read. The only reason why I'm a maybe on continuing the series is I just don't see where the series would go from that standpoint, right? Because the way Vicious ended, I'm like, okay, I get how it ended. There could potentially be a book 2, but is there enough, juice in there for a book 2 to be great without me reading book 2 and all of a sudden not liking the series at all? I don't know. So I'm a maybe, but we shall see. We shall see, because my maybes can be turned into yes. So this is a maybe leaning towards yes. Should this be on your TBR list? Yes. Yes. Check your trigger warnings first before you read the book, because there are some very brutal things that happen in there. And if you're not aware of it, then I would definitely check it out. But yes, it's a yes for me. It's a maybe for me, and a yes for you all, at least for the first book. And then you make a decision whether or not you want to read the second book from that perspective there. Let's do a random thriller that's actually a series that I'm into, and I'm sure not a lot of people thought it was a series. The Kind Worth Killing is actually a series, the second book being The Kind Worth Saving. The first book, The Kind Worth Killing, was a 5-star for me. That book was amazing. It makes you question, are there certain people in this world who should be unalived? That's all I'm going to give you about the book. There's a lot of different things in the book. There's a lot of drama. But that's all I'm going to give you about the book because I think you should go into it blind. The first book, absolutely incredible. Roller coaster ride. The only reason why I'm a maybe leaning towards no and continuing the series is that you just can't live up to that first book with this. You just can't live up to it. And I've been sneakily looking at reviews for the second book, and I've been seeing that it falls up short. So while yes, you should 100% read book 1, do you need to read book 2? Maybe. For me, it's not a priority for me. Maybe like at a random time next year I'll pick it up, but for me right now, I don't know if I'll be continuing that series from that perspective there. Let's hop back into sci-fi. So Red Rising. Yes, I really will be 100% continuing this series. I've only read 3 books so far. I think there's 3 books after that I haven't read yet. So the books in the series that I've read is Red Rising, I read Golden Sun, I read Morningstar, 2 absolutely incredible books. The first book was just okay for me. It seems like when it comes to these space operas, the first book is just normally okay, a lot of setup, but the second book was insane, and the third book is absolutely incredible. So in this one, you follow Darrow, who is the main character of this story, as he goes through an incomprehensible loss at the beginning of the story. And to kind of get his lick back, he has to end up becoming the person that he doesn't want to become, but he has to become. And this is a sci-fi that's mixed with all different elements in there. And he just goes absolutely insane as he, conquers all these different things in space. Don't want to give too many spoilers away. Absolutely incredible. Some of the best side characters too as well in the story. I just took a break from it because there was a lot going on within the story that I just needed a breather from, but I will be reading this story probably sometime next year. I'll pick it back up next year. It's always on my mind. You all are always, recommending me to, read it or get back into it. You're saying that the second half is better than the first half. That is up for debate because the first half was absolutely incredible. So we will see. So Red Rising, I would say yes, and yes, you should definitely continue it. Oh, I'm definitely going to continue it, and you should definitely, read it from there too as well. All right, the next series is a series that I am kicking myself for not continuing, and it is the Greenbone Saga. Jade City was absolute gas. I don't know why I haven't continued the series. I mean, I know why, because there's just so many other books that are just hopping back around, but I'm kicking myself for not buying the entire series. Just so I can be forced to read it all at once, because Jade City is absolutely incredible. So in this one, you follow a family who is located on a certain area of land. In the area of land, there are jade, and they mine the jade. And by mining that jade, you can give that jade to people called Greenbones who have special abilities, and they get special abilities from this jade, which including running super fast or having superhuman strength. And there's 2 clans that are fighting over not only the jade, but territory. There's the No Peak clan and the Mountain clan. And Fonda Lee, I don't know how she does it, but she makes a story of mobsters and The Godfather, and she mixes it with some just crazy elements of fantasy that I thoroughly enjoyed. I gave it 5 out of 5 because while I was reading it, I could just see anime. And I'm a big anime fan, and I absolutely love this series. I love this book. The next book in the series is Jade War. The final book is Jade Legacy. And apparently those books are absolute gas, even more gas than the first book. I got to get into it. So yes, I'm going to continue the series. And 100% yes, it should be in TBR. Maybe even at the top of your TBR. Because this series was just chef's kiss. The next series is 100% yes. Yes, I'm going to continue it. Yes, it should be on the TBR list. Just did an interview with this author. The Burning series, Rage of Dragons and Fires of Vengeance, were some of my favorite reads of this year. And yes, I am going to continue the series when the 3rd book comes out. And Evan says there's going to be 4 books in the series. So yes, I'll continue all those. And yes, this should definitely be on your TBR list. This is an African-inspired fantasy, and you follow along a main character who suffers a tragedy in the beginning of the book. And throughout the entire book, he wants to get his lick back. He goes on the crazy revenge tour of all time, and it's just left and right, left and right. It's just so much action in this book, so much great writing in this book. There's so many quotable lines in this book. Like, you feel for these characters. Evan does a really good job with his side characters as well as his main characters, and no one is safe when it comes to these books, when it comes to Evan Winter's writing. And yes, this is a series that's at the top of the top for me. So once book 3 comes out, I'm moving everything around. I just got to move everything around for this series, because this series is just top of the top, like S tier, God tier for me. And yeah, you need to put on your TBR list if you haven't read it yet so far. Next one up, we have a maybe leaning towards no, but leaning towards yes. Let me explain. Dune. So I read the first book in Dune because I wanted to compare it to the 2 movies that came out. So the first book, Dune, was good. Not great for me. I think I just couldn't gel with some of the writing in the book. However, it was good. I think I gave it like a 3.8 out of 5. Great book. The movies were absolutely incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. Now, the movies and the books, they really are not really the same. There are certain things that happen in the book that doesn't happen in the movies. I thought that was fine for the movie standpoint. But, I mean, it was just okay from a book standpoint. Now, is a maybe leaning no, but yes, is because if another Dune movie comes out, like Dune 3, and it is based off the second book in the series, I will pick it back up. I want to read the book and then see how it compares to the series, compares to the movie. But I'm in no rush to read Dune 2. If you're not familiar with Dune, you follow a person who is considered the chosen one as they navigate throughout space, throughout their planet. A lot of different political issues that happens in this. A lot of things that happens in Dune that I don't want to go too far into. But I highly recommend you check out the movies for sure. The movies are absolutely incredible. I think they do a really good job at capturing, Paul Atreides in that series. But the book for me was just okay. And I need to wait for the movies to come out for me to read book 2. But I bet book 2 is going to be incredible. And I'm just going to be hooked on the series too as well. So you just never know when it comes to Dune. But that's, as of right now, I am a maybe towards no. But for you, you definitely need to read Dune 1. Like, you 100% need to read Dune 1. Because it's a classic. And as much as it wasn't my favorite, I really enjoyed that book a lot. To where I ran to watch the movies. And once the next few movies come out, I'll definitely continue the series then. But who knows when that's going to be. It could be in 2026, 2027. We don't know. But as of right now, I will not be continuing the series until those come out. The next series I want to go through is a YA series, but don't let the YA title dissuade you. Children of Blood and Bone, that series is absolutely insane. I've read the first 2 books in the series. There's a 3rd book that's out right now that I need to get to. Should this be on your TBR list? Yes, this is African-inspired fantasy that has some of the best writing that I've ever encountered, especially book 1 and book 2. Haven't checked out book 3 yet. I hear there's a lot of mixed reviews on that. For me, I have to see for myself from that perspective. So it's definitely on my list. So should this be on your TBR list? I want to say yes, because these books are fun. The first 2 books are fun. And I'll definitely be checking the 3rd book out at some point, hopefully by the end of the year, if not next year, because this series I always recommend this series to not only people who are my age, I'm not gonna give away my age, but also to teachers who, are in school and are looking for, fantasy books that are not too crazy, like in terms of like the Stormlights that I read, but are very digestible. And if you want to get back into reading or even into fantasy, not a bad place to start. Children of Blood and Bone, and that series there. So 100% will be continuing the series. And should it be on a TBR list? Yes, it should. Do not let the YA title, dissuade you from it. All right, and I think this is 15. If I'm doing my math correctly, this is 15, but I may give you an extra one too as well. Scythe. This series is another YA, but it's absolutely incredible. And I also don't know how it's a YA, to be honest with you. There's a lot of violence in this one. So in this one, you follow along 2 individuals who live in a world where there is no disease. There's really no way to die. It's basically everybody is immortal. But there's a group of Scythes, and there's a group of basically, death makers who every year they have to live up to a quota in terms of unaliving a certain amount of people every year, because as you can tell, it's still the same Earth that they're on. So population control is definitely a hot topic. And these two individuals, probably low-key against their will, end up becoming, apprentices to these Scythes. And they question their, mortality, their morality. There's a lot of things that happen in this story. I don't know how it's a YA because there's a lot of brutal moments in this story. But yes, I will 100% continue the series. And yes, this should 100% be on your list because holy smokes, this series was just, the first book was absolute gas for me. Really enjoyed it. Quick read, fast read. And I will be continuing the rest of the series. I think there's 3 books that are in the series. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, Scythe is definitely a series I'm continuing. Let's do one more for the road because I totally forgot about this one when I started making the video, and now I'm making the video now. So I'll give you 16. The Will of the Many, that series. Yes, I will be continuing that series whenever The Strength of the Few comes out. James Allenton just gave us the masterpiece Will of the Many, and that book was absolutely incredible. Some of the best magical system. I love the hierarchy, the will magic system in this story. And I love the fact that this was a first-person point of view story. So we were actually in the head of the main character, Vis, the entire time. So we were going through his trials and tribulations real time with him as he learned and navigate this world that, he's kind of into there. And yes, this should be a book that's on your TBR list, this book alone at least. And just get ready because Strength of the Few I already know is going to be absolutely insane too as well. So yes, this is a series that I'll be continuing for sure. All right, so yeah, I'm in the middle of 15 plus series. I don't know how this happened, but I'm here, and I will be getting through all of them. Like, trust me, I will be getting through all of them. Again, what series are you in the middle of? What series do you recommend for me to pick up? What series do you recommend for everybody else to pick up? Let me know. Because I'm always, as you know, always looking for a new series, even though I should be focusing on finishing the series that I'm into. But I'm always down for some new series as always. As always, everyone, I love that you interact with these videos. You come and listen to me yap for, I don't know how long I've been yapping on this for, but I always appreciate that. And if you're here for this long, I just want to say thank you for, subscribing, for watching, for giving me some great book recommendations. And as always, everyone, happy reading.